I'm Yanis, and I'm gonna do a quick demo on one of the latest features added in Dekorate, and that is Tekton support. This feature allows the generation of Tekton pipelines and all of its requirements in order to check out, build, containerize, and deploy your Java-based application inside your Kubernetes cluster. Now, the generated pipelines can either be used as is, or they can be used as a base on top of which a user can build a custom CI/CD solution. Why? Tekton is powerful, but it is also hard. It introduces quite a few new custom resources, and it often requires that the user will define a lot of Kubernetes resources for configuring things like persistence volumes, role-based authentication, and stuff like that. So we could say that Tekton is pretty hard to use, especially if you're a beginner, without the proper tooling. Now, Dekorate is a tool that allows the generation of Kubernetes-related resources for your Java application. Of course, on top of that, Dekorate already knows pretty much everything that Tekton pipelines need. It knows how to build the application, how to package it in a container, how to deploy it, pretty much everything. So it only made sense to extend the coverage so that we also include Tekton. In this demonstration, I'm going to start by creating a fresh Spring Boot application. I am going to add Dekorate so that I can generate Kubernetes manifests, and then I'm going to add the Tekton modules in order to generate Tekton pipelines, which I am going to run in my local Minishift installation. So let's get started. I will jump into my cell and create a new Spring Boot application that I'm going to name Tekton Demo. And inside that application, I am going to copy an example Docker file that I have because out of the box, the start of Spring.io doesn't provide a Docker file for the application. And the generated application should have a pom.xml that looks like this. Now, the quickest way to get started is to jump to the Dekorate README and find the Kubernetes Spring Starter and copy paste it to my POM. And once I build the application, oops, sorry, wrong folder. Once I build the application, I expect to find under target classes, target classes, Dekorate Kubernetes resources. It's a simple deployment like this one. In this demo, I would like to push the image to quay.io, so I will start by configuring that. In my application.properties, I will add Dekorate Docker registry, quay.io, and once I rebuild the application, I have a typo, which I'm going to fix. And once I rebuild the application, I expect to find the registry also referenced in the Kubernetes manifest. Yep, we are good to go. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to initialize a new Git repository. I am going to add everything that I would like to exclude: the mvn wrapper, the mvn wrapper command, and also the test, in order to speed up things. Okay. Perfect. And I'm going to give remote add origin, and I'm going to push the application to that repository. Perfect. By the way, let me show you how the Docker file that I copy and pasted looks like. It's the simplest Docker file it could be. And now we can go and start working on the Tekton stuff. Along with the Kubernetes Spring Starter that I copied and pasted from the Dekorate Tekton file, I will add a module called Tekton Annotations. Oops. It should be somewhere here. And this time, if I build the application, I expect to see, along with the Kubernetes manifest, some Tekton manifests. And just to verify, target classes, meta in Dekorate, and I see that I have quite a few Tekton related files. Before I move any step forward, I would like to do a very quick Tekton 101. Now, in Tekton, the basic building block is the step. A step is actually a command that it is executed inside a specific Docker container. Now, steps are not executed on their own. Usually, steps are grouped together and are added inside another Tekton resource that it is called task. Task is backed by pod, and it's an executable Tekton resource. Sometimes not all tasks and not all steps are meant to be grouped together. In that case, we create multiple tasks and we orchestrate those tasks using pipelines. Pipeline is another Tekton resource, and it is also an executable resource. So a user can either run a task or can run a pipeline, but a user cannot run a single step, for example. How the user will structure tasks and pipelines is up to them. However, I can see two major, let's say, trends. The one is not using pipeline at all and just creating very fat tasks for the sake of simplicity. And the other is being more modular and creating multiple tasks, orchestrating by pipelines. Of course, the latter provides more flexibility, allows you to change tasks or easily add new tasks and do all kinds of things. But on the other hand, using pipelines usually requires configuring persistent volumes and stuff like that, so it's slightly more difficult to get started. Now, in this example, I will show you how the task looks like. and then I'll jump to the pipelines. So the generated task contains quite a few resources. It contains service accounts, roles, and role bindings. These are Kubernetes resources used for role-based authentication configuration, and it is required in order to allow our task to deploy the generated manifest in Kubernetes. Of course, we have pipeline resources like the Git repository or the output image that our task is going to create. And of course, last but not least, the task itself. As you can see, it contains the instructions on how to perform an MVN build, how to containerize the application, and finally, how to deploy everything. I won't get into much detail here, but I would like to show you how the pipeline looks like. It's pretty similar, but the main difference is that the tasks are split in three. So I have a different task for performing the Maven build, a different task for performing the Kaneko build, and a different task for performing the actual deploy. In this demonstration, I'm going to apply this pipeline, but before I do that, I would like to do some more configuration. I mentioned earlier that I'm going to use Quay.io in order to push my images to, but in order to use Quay.io or any kind of external image registries, I need to configure authentication first. Dekorate provides multiple ways for configuring authentication to image registries. First one is to allow the user to bring own secrets that contain the authentication information. The other one, to allow the user to specify a username and password that contains all the required credentials. And the last is to allow the user to bring their own .docker/config.json file. The later is the easiest, of course, and in this example I'm going to do exactly that. So I'm gonna jump back to my application.properties and add the following property: Dekorate Tekton, use local docker config JSON equals true. Now, once I rebuild the application, I expect to see one additional resource, and that resource is going to be the secret that would contain the docker config JSON file. Let's verify that. And the first resource is the secret that contains the authentication information. Okay. I should be able to apply that, and I'll do it straight from my editor. The pipeline has been created, and in order to run that pipeline, I need to apply the run file. The run file is yet another Kubernetes file that contains all the parameters required for the Tekton pipeline to run. Once I apply that, my pipeline will start running. I will use my CLI in order to check the logs of the pipeline. And if everything went well, we can see, yeah, it seems that it starts, it checked out the project from GitHub, it triggered the Maven build, and then we expect the container build, push to Quay.io, and finally deploy on Kubernetes. This will take a while, so most probably I will speed that part up, and see you in the end. It seems that the build and push task has been completed, and so does the deploy task. which makes me think that I should be able to see my application running. And it seems that it does, so let me check out the logs. Which clearly shows that my application has been successfully started. I hope that you enjoyed this quick little demo, and see you next time.